journey is about 3,600 meters in the sky above the ground. First, let's get familiar with the internal environment of the cabin, and please introduce us. First, I would like to introduce the internal environment of the helicopter. The helicopter was used to rescue the victims, and now it is used for searching the victims. Inside the cabin, we can see two gadgets here. There are two tanks. Sorry, the signal is weak. The headset is used to contact between the crew members and the ground. We will report the actual situation and to the ground, and we're responsible for the contact between the pilot and the ground command center. Through the camera, we can see there are 2 helicopters undertaking the tasks. We're now taking one of them. Outside the window, there is another helicopter. We would like to ask you, we'll fly in a formation, so what kind of mission do we carry? It is a flight in formation. There are 2 helicopters. We mainly carry out 3 go and 3 turning backs. And we will fly to the central section of the Yaluzhanbo Grand Canyon. The terrain is complicated. There are high mountains and steep cliffs. The narrowest part is about 300 meters. The weather is complicated. And the cyclone is intense. Also, there are many lakes and mountains. After the rain, and also after the new buildings which were constructed lately, there are so many live power lines, so it is dangerous here. What we fear the most is a high voltage power line. It is like a time bomber. It will cause the damage of the flights and also cause accidents. Today, we're about to cross the Yaluzhanbo Grand Canyon. It is the steepest canyon. The deepest part is 6,009 kilometers. It's about 7-story high building, so the terrain is complicated and is a challenge to today's flight. So, what kind of preparations do we have? We're waiting on the ground because the airport is used for nuclear purposes, and the passenger flight, in order to use the passenger flight airport, we need the approval from our leaders. So, considering the passenger flight, we have to consider many issues. We have to wait until the passenger flights take off. From outside the window, we can see the passenger flights which stopped at the yard. So, only when those passenger flights would have taken off can we take off. So, when in a helicopter, the signal is not so good, and we'll adjust our signals according to the situation, but we cannot ensure a consistent signal, so I have to say sorry to you. And there is sunshine. A helicopter is about to take off, and the shadow was cast to the ground by the window. How long will we fly? The second section of the flight above the Grand Canyon, the total length is about 1,400 kilometers. The time is about 1 hour and 5 minutes. We will fly over 3 canyons. Later, I would like to introduce you the canyons. And there are several sections which are very dangerous because it's noisy. If you want to speak, please give us signals, and we'll let the camera to shot your gestures, and then we will know the terrains below us. While waiting to take off, while waiting for the orders, please wait for a moment. Greetings. We'll follow the helicopters in the western fighting area for the training. We're about to fly from Lhasa to Shikata. We're about to cross the second section of the Yaluzambo Grand Canyon. In the middle section, we're about to cross the dangerous area, and between our flight, the signals may be cut, may be stopped, so I'm sorry for you, and the helicopter is about to take off. It's running in the runway. Through our camera, we can see it is the airport in Lhasa, and the airport is shared by both passenger flights and the military flights. Through our camera, we can see the passenger planes. We can feel that the gliding speed of the helicopter is become much faster. Now the helicopter is on the runway. The latitude is about 3,000 kilometers. When we take off, latitude will be higher, and the highest latitude will be about 3,400 kilometers above the ground. The helicopter is leaving the ground. We can see the helicopter has left the ground. The buildings farther away have become ever smaller.
等一下，咱们下。再放分一下，往这边放进去。坐着不要躺着，咱们下面扶着，下面扶着，下面扶着啊！这可以坐的，可以坐的，来计时的。
中间有很多的这个水量最为充沛的时候。
There are so many rivers below. It is the river bank. In the southern part of China, maybe it is the hot summer. We can see here the vegetation is not so intense, and Yalongzhampo Grand River is not so big because it is still not the rainy season. We are now embarking on the air route of Yalongzhampo Grand Canyon. It is the first aircrew that have brought the disaster relief resources to the disastrous areas. It is the first aircrew to transfer the victims through the channel in the air. It has taken on 190 flights, and the total length is about 280 hours. It has deployed about 59 tons of resources, and now they're in a fight. Power line. Quickly, we are passing over. It would affect the flight, and we'll cross over. How many times we'll cross over the high voltage line? It's about over 10 high voltage power lines. There are so many. And the lines are in different shapes, and they are in different patterns. So we should watch seriously, watch it carefully to prevent dangers and to prevent bumping over the power lines.
的，各位网友，各位央视新闻的各位网友，大家好！我们现在正在直播的是跟随西部战区空军某部的直升机执行一次高原的飞行作业的训练。我们现在是要沿着雅鲁藏布江的上方，穿越雅鲁藏布江中段这个大峡谷。大家可以看到，在我们的画面当中，我们的雅鲁藏布江下面旁边是一个村庄。现在村庄的植被呢已经开始有一些变绿了，而且我们的庄稼呢已经是播种了，有一片生机盎然的景象。现在在我们这个飞机下面这个山谷当中呢，还能看到一些零星的绿色的植被。那我们的这个飞行员告诉我们，
Below the
我们在往峡谷当
helicopter,
中
in the mountain, we can see some green vegetations. The exuberant vegetation tells us that when we go further, the altitude will be higher and there are less vegetations.
曹阳呢告诉我们，我们是经过了第二段的高压电线，因为在这个直升机的这个航行当中呢，通过目测。平时我们在陆地上看高压电线都是觉得很粗的、很明显的，但是在空中由于这个距离的限制呢，往往一个高压电线对于我们的肉眼观测来说，就相当于是一根丝线一样，非常的细。如果不仔细观察，就非常的。
On the ground, we see the power line. It is thick, but because of the limits of the distances, through our eyes we can see that the steel is very Through our eyes, we can see the power lines are very thin. If we do not pay close attention, it is very hard to be detected. We are crossing the first gateway of the canyon. The altitude currently is 5,700 kilometers. The helicopter pilots are tiring. There are lots of work. The crew members involves lots of hard work because of the lack of oxygen, and it's 5,700 kilometers above the ground. If you stay for about 2 hours, you'll feel that you have difficulty in breathing. So I would just spend about 2 to 3 days, but for the soldiers here, you may stay here for 2 to 3 years. So it's just about 3,000. How uncomfortable it is. Sometimes we'll feel headaches or the chest distress, or signs of lack of oxygen, and people will feel tiring. After a long time, many people will feel that they cannot stay here any longer. Because in the highland, I can feel that in the highland, it is the test to our will and our physical conditions. If you stay in the cabin, you will feel uncomfortable and we cannot do lots of exercises, so we have to just adapt to it. For the sake of the needs of our nation, we have overcome many difficulties, and we have adapted our physical conditions. In recent time, our country has increased the exercises of the military forces. It seems simple, but if we undertake the task, we'll feel the difficulties. How to win this war over disaster relief? It involves tactics and strategies. We have undertaken the low altitude flights. We have used our helicopters because they are flexible and they are mobile. And we fly in a low altitude and we fly in the canyons and mountains. We are fully aware about the flexibility and mobility of the helicopters, and we have overcome all difficulties. The valleys behind are all the areas where we have conducted our flights. This canyon is the necessary route we will take. The current is still small. When we fly over the valleys, the current is strong, and there are big bumps. We have to avoid the hidden currents. there are downside airstreams which will cause problems during the flights. It may seem to be a simple valley, but we should overcome the hidden dangers because there is a difference. Seen from above, you can see the valleys. Because there is an altitude intercept. On two sides, there are valleys. After this, we'll feel the airstream will become smooth because the mountains are not so high. Within the mountains, there are hidden airstreams, which may cause turbulence. It must not be too high, because if it is too high, it's very hard for us to recognize different issues. And we have to avoid high and big obstacles, such as the tower of the television. While in the canyon and in the valley, we can feel the obvious turbulence of the helicopter. It is very serious turbulences. Okay, greetings. I'm now in the helicopter of the Yangguang aircrew. We are flying over the Yalongzambo Grand Canyon. Below us is the Yalongzambo River. Yangon aircrew has a long history of disaster relief. It has rescued many victims during the Wenchuan earthquake. They have been the first helicopters to deploy the resources to the disaster areas in the Wenchuan earthquake, and they are the first helicopters to transfer the victims through the air route. They have made great contributions to the disaster relief. They have delivered assistance and backup to the transfer of the victims. Above the Yalongzambo Grand Canyon, we can see that between the two valleys, it is a green river. Below, it is the Yalongzambo River.
在这么狭窄的区域活动，难度都很大，特别是掉头、返航和遇到特勤的时候，我们的处理都是给飞行带来了很困难。
这个也是考验我们的飞行技巧和我们的驾驶水平了。
The current has brought challenges to our vision. It is a challenge to our driving skills. There are 4 planes. How to drive, how to turn around when we meet the complicated weather, how to come back. And we have formulated plans beforehand. The helicopters behind will become the leaders in our formation. We'll have the careful studies and research. In a narrow valley, it is very hard to turn around. We'll fly from inside this valley.
等一下，咱们下。分一下，往这边放进去。坐着不要躺着，咱们下面扶着，下面扶着，手都是下。这可以坐的，可以坐的，来计时的，计时。什么？那个。
这边还是高的，
嗯，
这边还是高。
这2.9嘛。
从这边过来，看着这从这边过来。